Thank you for plugging into this Family Life News podcast, streaming issues-driven, family-focused news.
Welcome back to another edition of Issues in Education, Mondays during the Noon Report. We spotlight the issues that matter most to our public schooling families with Dr. Ralph Kerr at the Teaching and Learning Institute in beautiful Houghton, New York. Ralph, much to discuss on the big show today. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Bob. Great to be with you again today.
Hey, let's start with those masks. The great unmasking in New York last week, they came off. And now the big concern is, will kids be bullied who choose to continue to wear the mask? I have two kids in school, Ralph. One wears a mask, the other does not. And they're already starting to kid each other. But all joking aside, do you think this is going to be a problem in New York?
I don't think so, because the administrators and teachers are well aware of that possibility, and I think they'll nip that in the bud, which will be great.
Yeah.
Because it should be that if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't wear one. That's just common sense, and I hope people will respect the choices that the students make.
Yeah. The Empire Center reports that there has been a steep decline in student enrollment, K through 12 schools in New York State, but this is everywhere. This is a phenomenon that's been going on for a long time. But since the pandemic, it has accelerated. I think there's been a 5% decrease since COVID. Is this more due to the fact that people are leaving the state, or is it more due to the fact that parents are using alternative education like homeschooling or private schooling?
Well, I think you have to take a really close look at the numbers. For one thing, the majority of the loss was in the K through 6, and obviously kindergarten is not a required course in public schools in New York. And I think a lot of parents just made a choice for their kindergartner that instead of trying to go virtual with a kindergartner, it would be best just to keep them at home. I am concerned, though, that there has been a decrease. I think there are a multitude of reasons. Certainly, some people have chosen to go to a private school. Some are homeschooling. I think another factor is that there are more and more charter schools. In fact, the enrollment there increased by 7.4%. It's really interesting that charter schools, even though they're funded out of the public school budget, are not considered public schools in that sense in terms of the numbers. So it's an interesting phenomena that we're looking at, and I think all of the factors that we mentioned today are probably contributing factors to the decrease in student enrollment.
Well, let's not leave our friends from Pennsylvania out of this discussion. The Education Secretary on Friday released a report, a long-awaited report, on the learning loss caused by COVID. I want to know from you, and I know it's easy to Monday morning quarterback this, Ralph, but do you think that schools played it safe for too long when they did that remote hybrid thing that we all went through last year?
I don't think so, because I don't think it was the school's fault that they kept the mandates in place. It was the governors, it was the feds, was the teachers' unions that really preferred some of those things. And so I think the schools were really caught in the power plays that were going on, and they did the best they could under the circumstances. Related to that, I just wanted to mention, Bob, that I think we talked about in a program a while back that schools were looking at on snow days that they would just go to remote. Then they wouldn't have to count them as snow days.
Yeah.
It happens that that whole situation now has been rolled back, and the study of that has been stopped for the time being, primarily because of inequitable access to remote learning in terms of internet service in both the rural areas and some urban areas. So until the internet access is straightened up so that everybody has equal access, the state's just put a kibosh on that and is not looking at it as an alternative at this point.
Well, so much for Zoom school. It was fun while it lasted, right? Been there, done that. Don't want to do that again, for sure. But hey, so much information on your website. If you're interested in running for your local school board, if you're feeling the call, you have wonderful videos online, Ralph, where folks can go and learn more. If you would, what is that, sir?
It's simply whyrun.org. And Bob, let me say that I've had some good response from people about those videos, and I would encourage people to go to whyrun.org and take a look at them.